Okay. Okay, guys. Think I think we are live. Just want to see. This might take a little bit of time for people to come in, and just let me know. Can you actually hear me? Can you see me? Because Facebook Lives are rather new to me. And from what I see from my colleagues, not always quite reliable. So just if you could just give me a thumbs up in the comments and let me know that you're here, that you can hear me, and that you can see me. I know the emails went out a little bit late today, but I do see there's a couple of people watching. So I do hope, God, I hope you can hear me. Give me a little thumbs up and maybe let me know where you are dialing in from. It's always so interesting to see. I've got people writing back. Oh, there's a thumb up. Thank you, Steffi. I've had people write back from Germany, of course, but from Australia. Hi, Barbara. That's nice. From Austria, from Australia, from the Emirates. So that was really exciting. So apparently it's working. So let's dive right in. I'm just going to enlarge this window quickly. And can I still see the comments here? Great. So I think it's all up and running. In case I'm looking down, full disclosure, I got a couple of notes here, so I am as tight as possible walking you through the Power of Forgiveness Festival. I am really, really excited that we're doing this. I'm really excited that you're doing this with me. I'm also really excited. Switzerland, amazing. I'm really excited that I'm not here by myself. That can easily happen on Facebook. But I also know that a lot of people will watch this on the replay. As I have told you yesterday, and you can read on my feed, I had this idea of creating a festival of letting go, a festival around the power of forgiveness, because I have known for the last 10 years in my life how incredibly important this tool is. But seeing everything that's going on in the world, I see it more and more how important it is. It's actually super important, mega important. Um, and when I did the Power of Forgiveness workshop in the beginning of the year and then in the middle of the year again in English, to see what it did to people and how it helped them, I realized I've been joking, but it's not a joke anymore. I want to make forgiveness the new pandemic because it's a pandemic of love. It's a pandemic of expansion, of joy. I want forgiveness to go viral, but this is important. You are listening to this because you're intrigued, and I don't want you shut off just because you heard the word forgiveness. Just it makes you feel closed off or it gives you a funny feeling, because that's down to programming, and we come to that later. This power festival, let's call it this power festival is for you to reclaim more of your power, to come back into your power, to come back, to collect your strength back that you might have lost in certain situations, in certain relationships, with certain people. And so what's going to happen in these next 3 days, or not, no, in today, Wednesday and Friday, so during this week and the following days after, if we do a couple of Q&As, is I want to guide you through forgiveness, why it's so important, why it's important for you, what you can achieve through it, how you can use it, and how you can actually implement it in your life. Sounds like a lot. I'll make it as concise as possible. Um, but a lot of times it's really just a change of perspective. What we're doing today is I want to talk about exactly what I just said right now, why it's so important, and hopefully enlighten you and ease you up a little bit. Take the lid off the pressure when I talk to people and I ask them, what do you think about forgiveness? And they say, well, I think church, I think, ugh, I think I don't want her back in my life. Truth been told, then you're not free. You're not free to make decisions. You're not free to, take opportunities that are waiting for you because you're stuck in an old pain. And today is more about learning why this isn't so important. And we get to the rest later. But who am I? Who am I? Standing here telling you this. My name is Guido. You probably know this if you're on my Facebook feed. And I used to be a performer most of my life. I used to be a ballet dancer. Then I changed into acting. I then started singing. I played a lot of musicals. But truth been told, and this is something you might know, truth been told, I've been on stage for over 25 years back then and hardly ever enjoyed my being on stage. You know, I had this longing to play these parts. I had these longings to be a leading man. I mean, people who know me from the past know this mantra I was saying, I want to be a leading man. And even when I was, I couldn't even feel it because deep down, I wasn't able to enjoy it because deep down I was continuously waiting to be found out. I was just sure I wasn't good enough. I played parts and I wondered why I ended up in that role. And of course, that's not great for performance. But also, I carried this guilt for most of my life. A guilt that I didn't even know where it was coming from. But I would enter a room and you know, somebody was in a bad mood and I instantly felt guilty. Someone was in a fight and I thought it was my fault. Somebody was depressed and I had to ask, is it something that I did? Which, you know, didn't always end well. But I was so insecure because I continuously felt this guilt, and it took me decades to find out that it wasn't actually mine, that I was feeling guilty for mistakes I made a long time in the past, or they weren't even my mistakes. So we dive into a lot of these things, but you might be a little bit like me. You might be carrying, hi Doris, you might be carrying that old pain. You might be carrying a guilt that you can't place. You might not actually be able to enjoy what you do, although here and somehow in your body you know that you're good. You know fully that you can do better and that you should do better and that you know there's so much waiting for you. That's one part. And at the same time, not swinging, but at the same time you feel you're not good enough. It was driving me crazy. And then I discovered these tools that I'm working with today. And I started clearing up. And a huge part of changing my life and a huge part of letting go what was holding me back, I healed through forgiveness. Now, I was standing in a course many years ago when I did my training actually in these tools and in some of them. And I volunteered um, for the teacher. We were 300 people in the room, and this teacher said, you know, asked for some volunteers to explain a certain route of healing. And I had a shoulder problem, so I volunteered, and you know, he was right on point with a lot of these topics. And then he said, you know what, you just have to let go. And I flipped, and pardon me if if I swear a little, but I just literally, I can't remember what happened. I just remember standing there screaming, why the F is everybody telling me I have to let go, and why the fuck nobody can actually tell me what to let go, and what to let go of, and what letting go actually is. Apparently I had no problem with letting go. Now, apparently I had a lot of problems with letting go, but I was so angry that especially in this self-help industry, everybody's just saying, oh, you just gotta let it go. But the fuck, nobody could tell me what to do. And it drove me crazy because I knew I had to let it go. And I didn't know how to do it. Today I do. Today I would call myself a master of letting go. There's very few things that trigger me, that get me out of my tracks, so to speak. And when they do, you know, I'm quite easily, quite quickly back on them. And that is what I know is possible for you, that you feel worthy, that you feel good enough, that you stay in your power longer. And when you snap out of them, you snap back into them straight away. And that is what forgiveness can do for you. If you hear the word forgiveness and you feel, ugh, if someone mentions a name and your blood starts boiling, or if you think of a past situation or past mistake and your skin starts crawling, you're not free. As I said before, you're not free to take these new opportunities. And to see what else is possible for you, and that you cannot only change yourself, but by that I believe we can change a lot of what is happening in the world. And I know that most people have those same feelings as me because I have these conversations daily with my clients, with my participants in my workshops, in my online courses, and people reach out on Instagram or Facebook sometimes and just ask me, I'm struggling with this. How is this possible? I've done everything. So I know the conversation that might be in your head too, and maybe I can help you. So, who am I today? Today, for the last 10 years, I coach. I've been helping people who are usually in the public eye and who, under all that pressure, try to become the best, stay the best, but also to enjoy themselves. And these are professional footballers, CEOs, singers, actors, musicians, the occasional pop star, but also students. In my courses, we have students, we have lawyers, we have teachers, we have pensioners, we have literally everybody in there. And what I help them to do is break down their self-sabotages, those back holders, so they can finally free up and step into that feeling that they know is possible for them. And in the last 2 years, I created these courses, one called the 6-Week Masters that just happened kind of out of a masterclass, and then the Big Power of Forgiveness course that I'm rebranding at the moment a little bit. But from that course, I took away so many insights that I want to share with you today. So when you don't forgive, I hope it's not feeling as uncomfortable as it has maybe 5 minutes ago. So when you don't forgive, when you still hold on to that old pain, and I'll tell you in a minute why you do that and what the biggest myth, or the three biggest myths around forgiveness are. But if you still do this, there might be a chance you're continuously punishing yourself for something that wasn't even your fault, maybe for something that is your fault. And when I was teaching a masterclass in forgiveness to another group of a colleague of mine, someone said, I just fear if I finally forgive, I cannot stop punish myself for what I've done. So I'm afraid to forgive myself and the others. And yet she wanted to have a better life. She wanted to have a bigger life. And that was a huge aha moment for her, that she believed she had to keep punishing herself. And it wasn't even about forgiveness, it was about that punishment. And I want you to have all doors open, because change is possible. And in order to change, we need to let go and not keep telling the same story that we've been telling for the last 10, 20 years. And believe me, I've experienced people who've been telling me the same story for 13 or 15 years. That's not going to work. So let's start a new story. So who is this for? And why is forgiveness so important? Me being on stage for 25 years, not being able to enjoy what I did, was a nightmare. In hindsight, it was hell. Me using forgiveness, then landing a part that I was trying to get for, I don't know, 3 years. I was monkeys trapping cats. And when they invited me again to audition for it again, I did use all my tools, and a big one was forgiveness, because I had so much trauma with that part. I landed the part. And for me, the big moment was to go on that stage that night, opening the show, thinking there's 100 guys better than me. There's 1,000 guys probably not as good as me, but right now I have an audience to take care of. Just enjoy. I've never had that in my life. I've worked with, yeah, we could call that person a pop star, with someone who had exactly those same issues. And while we were working through different levels and layers of that journey, and why that person wasn't able to enjoy the performance as much, I'm being very careful here to not disclose too much, we ended up in forgiveness. And after we had the big forgiveness session of releasing a lot of anger and guilt and from the past, I get a message saying, I got out a song that has been in my drawer for 10 years. I didn't dare touch it because it was so personal. But now it's out. I looked at it again, I overworked it again, and that song, only like 3, 4 weeks later, was in the charts and was number one hit for a few weeks continuously. That is what forgiveness can do to you. But this is not just about football stars and actors and pop stars. This is about the mother who wants a better relationship with their children, or the grown up that wants a better relationship with their parents, or all walks of life. So, what are these big myths around forgiveness? Let's get interesting. That was a lot of preface. The three big myths around forgiveness that I know that people hold. Oh, thank you, Nick. Um, the three misconceptions that are out there is what's holding people back to actually even talk about forgiveness, let alone trying it. And the first one is, you believe you protect yourself with forgiveness, with unforgiveness. And that's absolute bullshit. Pardon my French. I won't apologize anymore for that, just when I get a bit passionate. So people, when they don't forgive, they hold on to the unforgiveness because something happened in their past that was painful to them, for them, that has hurt them. They have learned that they have to behave a certain way, maybe with their parents, maybe with their spouse, but maybe as children they've been hit, maybe they've been ridiculed, maybe they've been abused. And they created a pattern of unforgiveness because, understandably, we believe if I hold on and don't forgive, that gives me power. And I'm sure a lot of you are nodding right now because I see these in my courses, in my online programs every single time. So it's a shame I can't see you on Facebook here. You believe, or we believe, we're holding on to the unforgiveness. I won't forgive because that gives me power. And listen carefully, it will protect me from that never happening again. If I don't forgive, it will give me power. It will protect me from that never happening again. And here's the truth. And it ain't pretty at first. Because by trying to protect you, or by trying to protect yourself, you're holding yourself in the exact same energy that you want to cast out, that you want to protect yourself from. So by holding on to the unforgiveness, you're saying, I never want to have that experience in my life. But due to the unforgiveness, you hold a lid on the anger, on the pain, on the self-loathing, or whatever is in there. So by trying to protect yourself, you keep yourself in the exact energy that you're trying to protect yourself from. I hope that structure of a sentence made sense. Little itchy nose, that's a good sign. So it's not about the other person. It's not about letting the other person off the hook. It's taking our power back. If I'm still angry about that husband or that wife that betrayed me 20 years ago, they might be dead. They might not be even thinking about me today. Most likely they're not. But I'm still holding on to that pain. To be open to more beautiful people in my life, or does that keep me in an energy of distrust, of skepticism, of doubting everyone I meet? I think that's pretty obvious. So the first myth is I protect myself as long as I don't forgive, and you don't. You keep hurting yourself. By forgiving, you bring your power back, and this brings me to the next step. But you're not saying you were right and I was wrong. The second big myth is, if I forgive, I condone what has happened. I say it was all right. No. No, 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 no. You, by forgiving, you're not condoning the action. You're not saying, and I hope I'm using this word right. If not, I just forgive myself. By not forgiving, or by forgiving, you're not saying you were right and I was wrong, and the action is forgiving. I think it was the Dalai Lama who said, forgive the person but not the action. If something has happened, a criminal act, if somebody's been abused physically, mentally, that needs to get in front of courts. That needs to be justified. But the person doing that, and we get to that tomorrow and after tomorrow, how we actually do that, is different, is separated from, is separate from the action. Of course, there might be so much anger and so much hatred, but I used to say, and I'm still saying this obviously, I don't care if your brother broke your doll or your toy, or if your uncle abused you. What I do care about is if you're still carrying this around today, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, because that's just hurting you over and over again. So by you forgiving, you're not saying the action was good, and you're also not forgetting the action. A lot of people think, well, if I forgive, I forget. No, you're just coming to an inner peace. You see it as a movie, and it gives you the power to then decide what is good for me in the future. Is that person good for me? Is that situation good for me? If I'm completely locked down, I can't make that choice. But if I forgive and I free myself from those emotions, I can still say, that was fucked up. But I said I won't apologize anymore. That was fucked up. That person, still don't want them in my life. That person, not my favorite thing in the world. But I have forgiven for my own peace. I used to hear a beautiful, there was this beautiful quote, not to forgive is taking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's exactly it. Not to forgive is taking poison and expecting the other person to die. So you're not saying what you were right and I was wrong, you win and I lose. You're just saying I'm taking my power back and I don't care about the other side anymore. That's the gist. And the third myth that always pops up is, well, if I forgive them, I bring them back into my life. And that is not true. You can forgive and still tell them, keep the F out of my life. There is an energetic cut, so it does feel differently. So maybe they reach out again, but usually they don't. And you don't have to bring them back into your life because you're not condoning anything. You're just doing this for yourself. So for me, forgiveness is the self-help tool number one. It's for you. It's not about the other person, but also, and I know this usually shakes up quite a few things. So I think as in content, this is already enough for today. But there's a few things I just wanted to add. Forgiveness is not just towards other people. Forgiveness towards yourself in the past or today is very often even bigger in order to step up and do more of what we want to do. So forgiveness it's for others, it's for yourself today, it's for yourself in the past. But I've experienced having to forgive life, or you might even say God. And there's something called collective forgiveness, and that is why I want to make forgiveness the new pandemic, because we carry a lot of guilt from the past that isn't even ours, that we need to know about, we need to learn, but we don't have to have that in ourselves, and we can change. So until next Wednesday, when we go on, after tomorrow we do a second session, I want you to think about everything that you can walk away from through forgiveness. The pain, what is holding you back? What is still coming up? What is still giving you that feeling? And what makes your skin crawl? I was having a laugh, and I hope I get to send this reel out. And if the girls from LOA Uncorked are listening, big heart out to you. We were laughing so much because she said, "So how do I know if I still need to forgive?" And I just looked at her and I said, "Oh, you know." And we were laughing so hard because it's true, you know. So just dive in a little bit. And because Kyle is saying heavy though, not condoning, forgiving, moving on, it can be. And a lot of people, I'm just going to dive right in here, Kyle. A lot of people don't dare to, even when they understand forgiveness, to dive into forgiveness because They don't want to look at the pain. In my experience, they've been looking at the pain almost daily for the past years. Yes, it's not comfortable to maybe look at it one more time, but there's techniques to actually not bring it as close as it probably usually is, and then let it go for good and easing it up. It's a process. It's not a 2 minute thing and then, first try, everything is gone. But I've seen stuff disappear. And so that's worth it. And it's good stuff. Sometimes it feels a bit heavy. So for until next Wednesday, I want you to think everything that you can walk away through forgiveness. What if you can actually let go of that pain? What if you don't feel guilty anymore? What if you don't feel not good enough anymore? And then, more importantly, really, really, really much more importantly, is have a think about everything that would be possible for you once you forgive. What if you're suddenly free to love again? What if you can just accept people in your family for who they are? What if they therefore just accept you for who you are? I've seen magic happening. I know there's some people on here that have done my courses where there was literally no communication between mother and daughter for, I think it was 6 years. And through this work, they're now communicating again. Is it all just love and flowers? No, it's a process. But how amazing that they suddenly could celebrate Christmas together again. That there's a heart opening for both again. So think about everything you can achieve through letting go, through letting their pain go, letting those old patterns go. And what if if you're free to trust again, trust in love, in business, in your business, in life, in the people, and most importantly, what if you can trust yourself again? That was for me, hands down, the biggest thing. Not running around thinking everybody hates me anyway, which was the story of my life until I was about 44, 45. But actually thinking this is okay, I like myself this way, otherwise I would be different. So what if you give yourself that gift of letting go? And then we take it from here on Wednesday night. Now, you know a lot about full forgiveness, but you still have no idea how to actually do that. And we will cover that on Wednesday here live. And we will take the next steps. If not, I'm just going to put this here in the comments. Please make sure that you click this link that I just put in the comments. It's my website, guidoszymanski.com/festival, and put your name on the list if you're not on my list anyway. And I'm coming back to that, Kyle, in a moment. And I will send you the replay, and you can watch this video again, and it will remind you when the next session is happening. And there will be a couple of Q&As and answering questions in the week after this Power Festival, this Letting Go Festival. So what I want you to do is please comment under this video what you've been taken away. If there have been any aha moments, anything that really makes you go, oh yeah, I dare to do this. If you have any questions, please put them in here as well. Go to the link, guidoszymanski.com/festival, and put your name in if you're not on the list anyway, and I'll send you the replay, and I'll see you in the next course. And I think that was it. And we're under 30 minutes. I see you Wednesday. And the last thing, do you need to say I forgive to the other person? Oh, that's a very good one. I'm tempted to say I'll tell you on Wednesday, Kyle. But no, the other person doesn't even have to be there anymore. They have no idea they don't need to know what you're doing. They don't need to know what you're doing at all. You don't need to bring them back. You don't have to have a conversation. You don't need to write them a letter. This is your process, and it's powerful. I forgave reality for the death of my two sisters and detached from that. It was hard, but far harder to live in an unresolved state. Yes, Nick, I remember. Thank you for sharing this. It does lift you to a different state. And do you lose the love? No, of course you don't. And oh, Mika, thank you. I'll see you all on Wednesday. Over and out. Comment, click the link. See you Wednesday.